This is Overtime, an extra segment of Civil Discourse. Now I'm Mark Small, co-host Paul Ogden. We're coming to you from Big Hat Books, Broad Ripple, north side of Indianapolis. I won't say anything more scurrilous about Governor Mitch Daniels' book, Keeping the Republic, leasing it, selling it, letting it go, whatever. It's a great bookstore. We got an art gallery up here and stuff like that. Paul, you wanted to talk about primaries right before Evan was going to tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah, I know he is. But as I said, told Evan off the air, he should stop while he's ahead. He got me on the last issue, and he's unlikely to get me on any other issues the rest of the year. So anyway, primaries. One of the big arguments I hear from libertarians all the time: we need to just stop that primaries should be totally privately run by the political parties themselves.
They are.
And
taxpayer funded.
And that the government shouldn't be involved in the nomination of candidates. And I have a big problem with that because in Marion County we have something called slating. It's very, very inside. Right. It's got worse and worse to the point now where supposedly the party workers are picking the candidates. Instead, it's a small committee, small handful of party leaders picking the candidates, pretending that the party workers are the ones supporting them.
That's what I meant. It's private selection.
The thing is, with the primary, we have an option to go around that and go straight to ask the voters for the nomination. Without that option, and I'm wrapping up, without that option, you got party leaders, you got the smoke-filled rooms picking the candidates. So, tell me I'm wrong.
You are so wrong.
Okay.
Okay. For slating, you're absolutely right, and I think slating is repugnant because it's the
Can you speak up a little bit, please, Evan?
Slating is repugnant. It's the Marion County Party is picking the candidate that they want for the primary. By the way, you still have to run in the primary. Right. It's paying money to the party to get an early endorsement. That's all it is. Now, what we're talking about is switching from a public primary system where you go into a booth at taxpayer expense and vote for your candidate in a closed party business. What we're saying is instead you should have a closed party convention. Now, one of the great things about a local convention is and I think you've been to a Marion County Libertarian convention before, haven't you?
I probably have attended one.
Okay. One of the interesting things about that is if you are a member of the Libertarian Party in Marion County, you get a vote. It's not a delegate. Slating is delegates. While you were a member of the Marion County Republican Party, doesn't mean you get to go in and vote during the slating. It's only open to delegates. It's only open to PCs and ward chairs.
Right, ward chair.
And if you get there past a certain time, as we experienced, they don't let you in.
Exactly.
But they
or if you're a Ron Paul supporter.
Rig the rules, and the way they do it with the slating is that they have so many vacancies
that
they just appoint people to attend.
Right.
And I don't know why that same thing would not happen at
because it doesn't have on the local level. On the county level, there is no delegate. If you are a member, and you are a member in good standing of the Libertarian Party of Marion County, you get to vote.
But what stops them from rigging the rules? What stops the party from rigging the rules? If there's no public oversight.
Because we have bylaws that have to be changed by the membership, and to have that change in the membership, it has to be voted by the membership.
And just one point then. And this I think goes...
Do I hear you right?
No,
this goes back to what we were talking about before in a way. Okay, you're talking about getting people to actively participate in politics.
Yes.
Okay? No. People are not going to do that. People in the United States want a pill to lose weight. They want a pill to feel better. I'm not against those things. Actually, my college church... They want to be able to sit back and watch TV. They want to just get a refund by not having to mail something in, and they want to be able to vote the easiest way possible. Check it off. It's all of that column.
And I want to give a little history here. Primaries are not the end-all, be-all. Primaries are just to pick the nominee. It's not the general election. So why should I, as a taxpayer, subsidize your laziness to go in and pick your candidate for your party?
Because the person is also going to be as lazy when it comes to the general election.
Well, we have other things that we deal with that, like getting rid of straight ticket voting and things like that.
Yeah, the primaries are important. I can see Paul's point in some ways. Although, it has become, I can see your point, I wasn't saying you're right. It's become so meaningless in a lot of ways, and right now you look at what the effect is of Citizens United. Citizens United has brought in the ratio in Michigan was 29-1 that Romney was paying as compared to Santorum, and Santorum all of a sudden had a big boost of funds from the guy that made the Bear aspirin comment, and he's a billionaire, and it's just like you've got all these controls taken off, and primaries all of a sudden don't mean anything. And the last several primaries here for president in Indiana haven't meant anything because the primary, the candidates have basically been chosen by the time they got here.
Well, and that's one of the other great things about the convention is at the convention, the party members get together at the county convention, and there's a candidate who stands up and speaks and says, this is why, this is who I am. You get to ask questions, the other candidates get to be there, and then you cast your vote. It's not, we went to a town hall meeting 3 weeks ago and heard from 6 different other people who all represent different things, and now I'm going into the ballot box and I'm voting. It's done at our convention because it's closed party business.
Personally, I see this as kind of a false argument because you're saying, you know, you're arguing which way we should go in a primary, where the fundamental issue and the topic of this discussion is the lack of third-party participation. And so it doesn't matter to me how the Democrats or the Republicans want to operate in their internal structures. What I'm concerned about is the Democrats and the Republicans down at the State House coming together and rigging the state laws in such a way that excludes all the third-party options. And you know, when you look at the Indiana's election laws, this is one of the harshest systems in the entire United States. And there has to be some way, some mechanism that opens the system up to everybody else.
And when you're talking about how we shouldn't fund them, here's a problem I also have with primaries, is that we have an open primary state. So if I want to vote, I've never voted for, and this is a matter of public record, I've never voted in a Republican primary in my life. I think I've voted for 9 candidates, 10 candidates who are Republicans, all judges, all excellent jurists. But the thing is, if I go in to vote for the Republican, and I go in and request a Republican ballot for the primary, and somebody challenges me, I have to either say that I have voted for at least half of that party's candidates in the prior general election, or promise to vote for at least half the candidates in the coming election. The first one is illegal. They can't force me to say that. And the second one is illegal because it's extortion, but also, how am I going to know who am I going to vote in the general election?
But the reason why that's there is because the primary is a closed party business.
But it's the functional equivalent of the government running the whole thing anyway.
And I disagree with it, and it shouldn't be that way. If we're going to have a primary system, then what it should absolutely be is a nonpartisan system where everybody walks in and you can grab any ballot. You grab the ballot, every candidate's on there, and you're voting. You've got all the Democrats and all the Republicans and all the Libertarians and the Socialists all running for that one race.
Okay,
check who you want.
Last things. We're getting out of time, and this is the 5th and final segment. What do we do to get a higher profile for all? I'm going to still say alternative parties. You're saying minor parties because of the statutory language. What do we do, Tim?
Well, I don't think anything's going to happen in the election. I think what has to happen is you take a third-party candidate that finds a competent attorney that's willing to work pro bono. And push.
Definitely not us.
That's like saying work in front of Maynard G. Krebs.
But I think what has to happen is some candidate has to take it to court and have the system judged to be unconstitutional.
Which is possible, but it's highly unlikely. I mean, as libertarians for the past exactly 40 years, our party has fought ballot access in all 50 states, and it's overturned time and time again. We had a victory in Ohio in 2004, and it was just overturned last year. It went back to court, And was overturned again.
But even with that, I mean, you had candidates on the ballot for city county council this last time around here in Indianapolis, and like one I thought was going to get elected. I thought Bill Levin was going to get elected, just because he's very well known. Bill's a friend of mine, but I thought he had some good ideas. But he got like 5%.
I think it was 4%.
4%. Okay. And my point is, how do you get alternative parties with a higher stature so people will recognize them?
It's not the higher stature. The problem is and you saw this with Ed Coleman's campaign. We ran a really strong campaign, and I worked with Ed Coleman. We had volunteers out. He was out walking every day. He did all the things he needed to do. There was just some history between Ed Coleman and Jack Sandlin in that district. Bill Levin had good name recognition in certain segments of Marion County, but there was no follow-through. There was no going door-to-door, knocking door-to-door, getting people registered to vote, attending all of the events around the county because he was at large candidate. What we need, and this is what Atlas Liberty does, is Atlas Liberty comes in and says, this is how you run a grassroots campaign to win, not just to get 5%. This is how you set up your walk lists, your volunteers, your phone banks, how you do letter campaigns.
There was an activist in Chicago who did that. Saul Alinsky wrote an entire book about that. Rules for Radicals.
Rules for Radicals, yes, I've read it.
And
it's
this
actually
is
on my bookshelf.
And
Yes,
those are the
I've
same
that.
principles. Those are the same principles.
Look at Andrew Gray, was a counselor who was elected this past year in a special election, I believe, in Kansas. And he beat a Republican incumbent who raised 60 to 1 in money. 60 to 1. But the incumbent didn't knock on any doors. He didn't go around and he didn't talk to the community. He didn't talk to business leaders. Andrew Gray worked his butt off. He worked a full-time job, and then after that, for 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, he would go out and actively campaign. And he beat the incumbent hands down.
And that's good.
He trashed him.
That's good if you have the ballot access, but that still doesn't address getting ballot access.
Let's get contact information.
Contact information once more from you gentlemen.
Okay, Timothy Platt with the Socialist Party, and we're at AmericanSocialist.net.
Evan McMahon, Executive Director of Atlas Liberty. You can find us at atlasliberty.com or on any of the social networks under Atlas Liberty.
And I'll try to put your contact information on the website, civildiscoursenow.com. This has been an honor and a pleasure. Had fun today. Very, very informative discourse, except for some of the stuff Paul said. Hope you gentlemen will come back. We've got an election year coming up.
Yeah.
We have very little good discourse in this community or this country about these issues, and that's what we're trying to change here. I hope you guys will be back.
Definitely will. Thank you.
Thank you. Kiss his ass, and that's so Lincoln. I'm conflicted about Lincoln and the irony with the Civil War, because I think that his greatness was, I mean, it was thrust upon him. He didn't plan on doing